It was early autumn when Elena arrived in the small coastal town of Glenhaven. The salty wind carried a chill she wasn't used to, but she welcomed it. She felt that change was due in her life. For years, she had been running, from heartbreak, from a string of dead-end jobs, and from the feeling that she was losing herself. When she received an unexpected letter from a distant relative she scarcely knew, asking her to come and claim an inheritance, she jumped the chance to be somewhere new. The little cottage she inherited stood on a cliff above the sea. It was weather-beaten and modest, but it had character. In the attic, under a loose floorboard, she discovered an old, leather-bound suitcase. It was locked, but the lock was delicate and easily undone with a hairpin. When she opened it, inside she found a stack of letters bound with faded ribbon, a black and white photograph, and a small wooden box. The photograph showed a young woman with sad eyes, standing beside an older gentleman in a suit. Elena assumed the woman was her great-aunt, the one said to have died decades earlier. She turned the wooden box's lid and found 2 silver keys and a delicate chain with a pendant of a locket. She slipped the locket around her neck, feeling a sudden gust of wind through the open attic window, as though the room exhaled. That night she slept fitfully, haunted by vague dreams, a woman's voice calling her name, footsteps on stairs, the creak of wood. The next morning, she sorted through the letters. They were addressed to my beloved Clara, and signed yours always, Thomas. The dates range from the 1940s to the early 1950s. The tone of longing was unmistakable. One letter mentioned a hidden room in the cottage, and a secret that could set her free forever. Elena's heart pounded. What secret? Over the weeks, Elena explored the house. She found an old desk with drawers that resisted her, hidden compartments, and faint cracks behind wallpaper. She repaired the cottage gradually, but her real work was in peeling back layers of time. One evening, she discovered hinges behind a portrait in the hallway. A secret door swung open, revealing a narrow staircase descending into darkness. With a flashlight in hand, she crept downstairs. There in the dusty cellar was a small room lined with shelves. On one shelf stood a safe with a combination dial. The silver keys from the wooden box fit into 2 slots beside it. She turned them. The safe clicked open. Inside lay more letters, a fragile journal, and a sealed envelope addressed to Elena, when the time is right. She read the journal first. It belonged to Clara. In it, Clara recorded an affair with Thomas, how they planned to escape together and run away from scandal. But societal pressure and family obligations forced her to abandon the plan. Thomas left town, promising to return. Letters resumed. But then, in 1953, the letters ceased. Clara's final entry spoke of despair, of remaining behind to protect someone, of giving up all hope. Elena's hands trembled as she broke the seal of the envelope. Inside was a single diamond ring and a note. If you have found this, dear Elena, then the time has come. The ring is yours, and our secret. You must now make a choice. Carry forward the name and legacy, or let it rest in peace. She sat in silence, staring at the ring. What was she to do? She felt a connection to Clara, as though she were guiding her. Over the following nights, she dreamed again, Clara's voice, urging her not to bury truth. Thomas's plea that the ring be honored. Elena took to the local archives, old newspapers and registries, digging into Clara's life, Thomas's departure, and rumors of a disappearance. She learned Thomas had vanished without a trace. Some said he'd been lost to sea. Others insisted he'd left deliberately. Clara had lived out her days quietly in the cottage, never remarrying, always waiting. Her life was one of silent heartbreak. One evening, while floating in bed, Elena turned the locket pendant. Inside was a miniature photograph, Thomas. She gasped. He looked young, earnest, eyes full of longing. She placed the ring beside it. A longing for closure, for purpose, stirred in her. She organized a small memorial for Clara in the attic room, displaying letters, photograph, and the ring. She invited the townspeople to a quiet gathering. Many came, locals who remembered Clara, or who had heard stories. At dusk, Elena spoke to the crowd. I found this suitcase, and in it a story of love, of sacrifice, and of a promise broken by fear. Clara and Thomas dreamed of freedom, but life held them back. Let us honor them by remembering them, not as ghosts, but as people who loved deeply. She placed the ring on a simple stand, the letters arranged around it. A warm breeze came through the attic window, lifting curtains. Some gasped. People felt as though a gentle presence passed through them. There was no ghostly vision, but a hush, a weight lifted. Elena stayed in Glenhaven. She opened a small museum in the cottage, calling it the Suitcase House. Visitors read Clara's journal, see the artifacts, learn of the love story. Elena occasionally tells visitors. The suitcase was more than a container of relics. It was a vessel of memory, a bridge between past and future. Years later, on a crisp autumn morning, Elena unlocked the suitcase again. She reached in and took out a folded slip of paper she'd overlooked. Opening it, she read, "To whoever finds this in years to come, know that love survives in memory. May you find strength in what remains and courage in what is lost." She smiled, placing it atop the letters, closing the suitcase lid firmly. She turned, walked out into the sea breeze, and felt light, not because the past was gone, but because she had freed it by giving it voice. The suitcase remained in the attic, locked, honored, waiting for some future soul to find, to wonder, and to remember.